Let's start the meditation with divine guidance from Brahma Shri Pitama Patri Ji, Mahatar Babaji, Ramta Master, and all the masters who are here gathered with us to ensure that this book, Swadhyay, is a great success. Start the meditation with divine guidance from Brahma Shri Pitama Patri Ji. Please be comfortable wherever you are seated. Clasp your hands, cross your legs, close your eyes gently. Let's start the relaxation before the Anapanasati meditation. From head to toe, let's target one organ by one organ and then relax each organ or body part. My head region is relaxed. My neck region is relaxed. Shoulders are relaxed. Back, upper back, lower back is relaxed. Chest is relaxed. Hips are relaxed. Entire leg is completely relaxed and relaxed and relaxed. My forehead is relaxed. All my face sense organs are completely relaxed. Any tightness in the jaw, release it and relax. Neck is relaxed. Shoulders are relaxed. Entire back is completely relaxed.
A bit later. अभी खेल लो पहले थोड़ा.
Chest is relaxed. Stomach portion is completely relaxed. Hips are relaxed. My entire leg region is relaxed. From head to toe, my entire body is completely relaxed. Let's move over to the Anapanasati meditation. Observe your breath, the in-breath and the out-breath. Every breath is precious. Just continue to watch your breath, your natural breath. If you're distracted, come back to the breath. Hello, masters. Slowly, at the count of 5, keep your hands on your eyes. And open your eyes with a beautiful smile. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, welcome to day 23, 24 of Divine Design. I look very special today because I'd gone to a marriage and I just came in time. So I didn't have time to change and all that. Okay, let me just start off the class. I don't think we had any questions, in my opinion. Anybody remember any questions in the group? I don't think there were any questions. Yeah, I've just allowed yourself to unmute in case you'll have anything. Okay, let's start 6.11. When the higher dimensional consciousness or HTC is choosing its contracts. So yesterday we spoke about contracts, and then we spoke about a few things about how they set up contracts with each other. We spoke about also core foundational consciousness, which is all of these emotions, right? All the emotions that are available for experiencing in the 3D. We I mean, we have a lot, right? And then we also understood that each of these consciousnesses are, some of these are core consciousnesses, core foundational consciousness. Apart from these core, there will be sub consciousnesses also, sub emotions also. But the fundamental ones that are you're choosing are these. But some of these will come along with that. For example, when you are angry, you may also probably be sometimes combining that with some other core consciousness. So there are lots of such things available, but then you are choosing some 10 top ones. Okay, so we learned about all that yesterday. So today we are going to learn about family maps. When the HTC is choosing its contracts, it also chooses its immediate and extended family. So all your parents, your in-laws, your aunt, your uncle, your cousins, all of them you are actually choosing only. The family system, or what we call the family map, consists of parents, siblings, children, and extended family. Sometimes we may also have people who abuse in the family, right? Some uncles and all of those people, they are also chosen. They are also chosen to be a part of the family. This map is chosen for two reasons: agreement to play out contracts, specific opportunities or experiences. Okay, for some things you need a specific person. So you'll bring them into the family, and then you play out the family contract. And of course, so whatever you need them to play, you are only telling them what to act out in your life. Contractual agreements. One reason for choosing family members is to play out the core consciousnesses. And yesterday we read that if you have planned a core consciousness or planned an emotion that you have to experience, right? But if you don't have any member to give you that experience, then that is not going to get executed. So there has to be somebody who has to give you that experience. When creating the family map, many times it is the contracts that are agreed upon to allow for core consciousnesses to play out that create the map. The family is chosen based on the contracts within the core consciousnesses. For example, a HTC may choose abandonment as core consciousness. It chooses to be a male. Okay, it will play the son in the contract with another HTC who will play the mother. Okay, so now there is a mother, and the hero is going to be the son. The mother has chosen a core. Okay, here the mother has chosen a core consciousness of addiction. The son chooses a mom who has agreed to be an alcoholic in order to experience abandonment. The mother contracts with the son to experience addiction. So they have a mutually binding contract. One wants addiction, one wants abandonment. Okay, like this, imagine how many combinations are playing out between people in the same house, people in the same family. The contracts not only create the opportunity for core consciousnesses to play out, but also create the family map. Okay, so the contracts are agreed upon prior to incarnation. See, here you need to understand, oh, my mother went late. Oh, sorry, my mother came first, I came late. All those are timeline based issues. But since everything is happening in the now moment, that agreement is also happening in the now moment only. But at that level, in that now moment, everything is actually done before each of them are incarnating. Before the mother incarnated, there is already an agreement. Before the son incarnated also, there is an agreement, which means it's all happening in parallel. We think that they are happening in two different timelines, but actually they are not. I mean, it's slightly difficult to think like that, but it is all playing out like that. It will play the son in the contract with, the contracts are agreed upon before the incarnation, and will play out in divine timing. The mom and the son agree to this prior to the mom incarnating, and the years before the son will incarnate. Okay, imagine how many years before they've already made a contract. Time does not exist outside of a dense linear continuum like the 3D. These agreements and contracts are made together. Yet it may take 50 human years in the 3D for a family member to enter the family map of the earth plane. So 50 years before itself, the contract has been made, right? Let's say I'm 46 years. 50 years before itself, There is some contract that I've made, and maybe my daughter made a contract before 50 years, whatever it was. Experiences and opportunities. Another specific reason for family members choosing family members in your human journey is to have specific experiences and opportunities. If you are choosing to experience poverty growing up, okay, remember, you are choosing to experience poverty growing up, and yes, that is always a choice prior to incarnating. Then you will intend parents into your family map that will match that intention. So we will also choose parents who also are in that poverty experience. So you will also choose to those kinds of parents only because you also want poverty. If you want to have the opportunity for success in a specific career, you may choose parents who will allow for that success to take place. The choice of the family map is very detailed and planned out. The experience, opportunities, contracts held within the family map are never by choice. All has been agreed upon prior to incarnation. So they say nothing is actually happening accidentally. Everything has happened before you have incarnated. And before you've incarnated, if you've made a contract, you have been in that, awareness, 100% awareness. Your body is in 3D, but you are in that same higher dimensional consciousness state, right? At that time, you have made the contract. The ancestral consciousness cord. Not only does a HTC choose the family map, but in doing so, they choose the ancestral line that they want to be energetically connected to while in the human body. We call it an ancestral consciousness cord. And ancestors are family members within the family's family map who are not currently alive. The consciousness cord is an energetic cord that connects the current family to the specific core consciousnesses experienced by their ancestors. So which means if there are some core consciousnesses that are experienced by some ancestors, these people also will continue to choose those core consciousnesses because it runs in the family line. Sometimes you may say, yeah, anger runs in my family line. Things like that we'll say, right? So like that. When the higher dimensional consciousness incarnates into human form, they are immediately connected energetically to the ancestral consciousness cord. They will unconsciously feel throughout their life some of the ancestral core consciousnesses such as lack, abuse, greed, and abandonment through their own thoughts, beliefs, and even behaviors. It is unconscious in the human. For example, a human may have beliefs around lack, but finds no reason or purpose having these thoughts. There isn't an individual, including a family member or an experience, that created the lack belief. In my own family, right? In my own case, right from the time that I was born, my father was in a public sector company, and as such, I've never experienced them keeping us in lack. It was not that we were very rich or something. I come from a middle class family only, but we had enough. We had books, we had food to eat, we had a quarters house, like from the company there was a house, and then we have all lived in such state. And then even if we have to come to Bangalore, we would. I mean, I've never really experienced a state of lack. Neither we were overspending, neither we were underspending also. So it was that kind of state. Of course, also my mother also eventually had to work and all that, but it did not come to us. The information, even if they had such lack feeling, it did not come till me. So I have never felt that my parents were in lack or we are poor. Then even after work, even after I got married or something, my husband earned enough, plus even I was in IT. So it was not like I really felt anything. But even today, when I have to literally be in my conscious state when I'm actually giving something to somebody. Like some materialistic items, right? Including food. I have to literally be in that conscious state and come back as Smita, the current, to be able to give it. Otherwise, my general tendency is to withhold. Right? So it is, and I have no reason to believe that I'm in lack, because my in-laws are also pretty well off. And they are also very generous in nature. And me and my husband also we consciously do charity and many of these things. So as such, and even now I have that mentality where I don't have that attachment. But while giving, unconsciously there is some state of lack that comes off. Should I give? It'll come. And then I have to teach myself. I have to tell myself, no, 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 this is not who I am. And then I have to like override that belief, override some inner instinct. Because my my father's father, um, to some extent, they had some lack. And my father's side family, they had some amount of lack. And then my dad's father passed away very young. Mother passed away when he was born only. He was born, or maybe something around that time. And then he has not really been with his mother. So father was never with him, kind of thing. And then he also died at some point. So my father has been constantly living with somebody else and studying, living with somebody else and working. So he used to have a slightly reserved attitude. But it did not come till me. But maybe those patterns have actually been inherited. And these are the consciousness that play out unknowingly, right? So, but my mother is not like that. My mother is very generous because she doesn't come from the family line, right? She has her own, and then her parents were pretty well off. So she has not actually inherited that. But in my case, I still feel that kind of lack. I don't feel the lack, but to give something to somebody, I have to like literally be in my conscious state to actually give it. It is also possible for the immediate family to mirror and perpetuate the ancestral core consciousness. The family will play out lack beliefs and create a reality from the ancestral beliefs. This belief can be unconscious for many humans, or the human will play a victimhood and blame their reality on their ancestors. Either way, human learn specific ways of being based on ancestral consciousness code. This, coupled with their own consciousness, creates and dictates many of the humans' journeys. For instance, a higher dimensional consciousness chooses to experience sexual abuse as a core fundamental experience. They contract with another HTC and agree to connect in the human form through a family relationship. See, this is what I was talking. They then decide that the role within, then they decide the role within the relationship. The abused will be the daughter and the abuser will be the father. This also has happened in many families, especially I think in some of the rare cases that I have worked with, some of the people, they come with many such abuse related stories from their childhood. Because when I talk in detail during my client sessions, they come with many such things because they need to release all that, right? So we work all of that at a very detailed level. So here also, some of these things are in the families only. So, and here they are talking about the father. They also both agree to incarnate into an ancestral consciousness cord that holds sexual abuse. Not only has the father agreed to be the abuser, see how it plays out. At that level, they are not even thinking it is bad, isn't it? But from our level, we think it is bad. Not only has the father agreed to be the abuser, but both father and daughter have agreed to tap into sexual abuse within their own ancestral line. The father's behavior is connected to the ancestral cord. He has most likely been sexually abused and unconsciously perpetuates the ancestral cord of abuse. The daughter has chosen to receive the abuse and has the opportunity to clear or cut the ancestral line of that core consciousness if she is awake to the cord. It means that now, let's say his daughter has been sexually abused by the father. Now she can basically carry that grudge on the father because of all of these things, which is very natural. Or she can wake up to that sense of consciousness and she can choose to forgive the father, or she can choose to wake up and say, oh yeah, this is a part of maybe this is something that I only had planned out as a part of my life. She may not choose to talk to the father, whatever it is. Or there has been some cases even in my own clients thing where the father has done all this, but at some point the father became very sick, and over a period of time the daughter and father basically connected again, and then she served the father again. But that at that time the father did not have all that kind of mindset. In the past, when he had the mindset, it has been done. But over a period of time, the daughter connected back to the father, and then she did her seva as a daughter. Maybe at that time, I don't remember, but I think she also. So this is how they cut off that ancestral cord that is now running. One person has to stand up and say. So one person has to stand up and look at it in the form of oneness. Otherwise, what will happen? This give and take will continue. So there are so many situations where one person will come to take the entire ancestral cord consciousness, and then they will bear it inside themselves, and then they will plan to release everything. Some brave souls will do that. And at that time, not only they are saving that 7 generations up, they are also saving 7 generations down, apparently, because this ancestral cord is also not going to continue to flow to the next 7 generations. Okay, so it is very important that, and many of us also, if you have let's say been very generous to take in something from your family line and say, no, I'll choose not to be doing this kind of thing, then you are one of that person who's now going to cut off all of those things that are now lying in the family chain. Because and you have the ancestors behind you to support you and all that to actually do this. But somebody has to gain the courage to do this. So here, if the daughter has chosen to cut off that because she now stands in oneness to basically look at it, then it all gets cut off. Both HTC then intend for the energetic contract and energetic astral cord to shift into light codes that will be held within their Akashic records and brought into their human DNA when they incarnate. The daughter is birthed into the form. She immediately connected to the ancestral consciousness cord. The father has been connected to the ancestral consciousness cord since he was birthed into the form. He is unconsciously ready to play out the contract with his daughter as the abuser. See, now, because now both of them are born, father also doesn't know he's going to do this. My daughter also doesn't know, but father will have all that nature to actually do this, because now he's born as an abuser. He'll be like having all the nature of the abuser. When the two human forms meet, the energetic cord connects the two of them, and the contract and the core consciousness of sexual abuse can begin. We would like to state that the human can choose sexual abuse as a core consciousness and not choose the same consciousness in the ancestral line. See, what they're saying is, they can choose sexual abuse as core consciousness, and it doesn't have to play in the same ancestral line. It can be done by somebody else, maybe somebody on the road, maybe something like that. It can also play out at that level. It doesn't have to be in the same ancestral line. At that time, maybe the family will be very supportive. They might choose families who are very supportive to them after they got through all these situations and all that. It is all a choice. Ancestral consciousness cord are a part of the Akashic record chosen by the HTC and designed as a part of the family map. And they influence many humans unconsciously. Okay, so many humans means because anybody who's part of that ancestral line will all unconsciously be a part of those core consciousnesses. They'll sign up for that. And everybody knows what they are signing up for before they come into that body. So when somebody comes and says, I don't know, ma'am, why my life is like this, my mother is like this is like this, that is like this, then I have to keep telling them, you only planned, but it's very difficult to actually understand you only planned sentence. The blueprint for incarnation. The last choice the HTC makes while creating the Akashic record is the reason for incarnating. Every consciousness that incarnates into a human form has the intention for the human journey. We call this the blueprint for incarnation. This blueprint can be as simple as intending to experience the 3D physical reality, or as complex as playing a role in shifting the earth and human collective. There are millions of HTCs that have chosen to simply incarnate to feel physicality and experience polarity. So when somebody keeps asking, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? It can be as simple as I'm here to joyfully experience 3D, or it can be as complex as maybe solve world hunger or something like that. Humans find this hard to believe at times, but polarities are a very unique experience. Right? What we are leading as a simple experience, good, bad, ugly, and all that, is a very, very unique experience. And People actually love it. Actually, what Deepthi ma'am was saying in one of the, log bank, I don't know which call, simply experience Earth as a blueprint for millions of humans. What she was telling was at some point, she went into higher dimensions and all that. She saw that, I don't know whether it was literally meant like that or it was meaning like that. She said that many human beings of Earth, people pray to them. Pray to them means they look at them as gods. People who are now in the third dimension space, they are basically looked upon like gods, because technically there is no difference between any dimension. Nothing is very high, nothing is very low. It is just an experience giving bhumi. Okay, 3D is one bhumi, 4D is one bhumi, you can call like that. Okay, it's just a space for some experience. So 3D is no different from 5D. Something is no different from something else. So there are dimensions. Okay, there are dimensions, or there are planets, or there are whatever people who basically who pray in the sense they worship them. They worship them as great. Because coming to 3D and doing your job with awareness is a very, very great experience, apparently. And it takes a lot of guts to actually do that. So that is why you should remember that what you have in life is a very, very, you're experiencing a diamond. Your life is like diamond. And you don't know, it's like a Kohinoor diamond. Okay? Kohinoor diamond, I think, I don't know whether it's Kohinoor or whatever. So it's like a Kohinoor diamond. That valuable it is, but we don't know. Human find it hard to believe, but polarities are a unique experience. Simply experiencing Earth is a blueprint for millions of humans. Just experiencing Earth is like a blueprint for millions of humans, it seems. There are also millions of HTCs that have chosen to incarnate to assist humanity and the Earth through evolutionary shift in consciousness. These humans are known as light workers. We will talk about light workers in the upcoming chapters. The blueprint is intended into light codes. The light code hold a specific frequency based on the blueprint. The blueprint, what is blueprint? It has some details about what you will be, what is your plan, all that high level aspects are in the blueprint, right? The light codes are then placed within the Akashic records, and upon incarnation, they move into the human DNA. So light codes are there in the Akashic records, and once the DNA is created inside a physical body, the light codes move into the physical body. The higher self is connected to these light codes and will guide the human through their life based on this blueprint. The human that has chosen to simply experience the 3D physical world will not need to awaken into their blueprint or have the blueprint activated within them, because their higher self is always guiding them. However, if the human's blueprint holds a specific purpose that needs to be accomplished, for example, serving humanity's evolutionary shift in consciousness, then the light codes will activate and remind the human beings what are they here to do. See, in my own life, right? When 2012, I had a huge shift in my lifestyle, because I was nearly dying, and something and all happened, and I came on this path. Since then, without my awareness only, my life is going on like as if somebody else is taking me forward. It's not like I'm planning anything in my life, but I'm finding myself in some important roles. I'm finding myself working with people. I don't even have a background of doing any of these things. I'm an engineer by background, and neither have I read any books like that. But somehow I get this knowledge. Somehow I just keep, somebody comes to me, and then I'm generally having this idea that I'll talk to them. Then I came into this healing. In fact, I did not even come into healing profession. I just wanted to share whatever I knew, and just like that, I used to keep sharing. Somebody would agree. Somebody would just listen to me on Facebook. Let's say they would say, please help, or something like that, on Moms of Bangalore. I would just ping them, and then I would give whatever advice I want. Like that, people would just trust me, and then they would just follow me. Who am I also, they don't know, but they would just. So sometimes when they, in retrospect, when you actually when they only think about how did they come to me, they think, Smita, I don't know how, why did I even trust you? But I trusted you. Something told me that I have to trust you. Like that, okay, like that, right? So there are so many things that have happened in my own life where I'm only looking like this. Oh yeah, okay, okay, okay. Why did this happen? So even I don't know. So without even having a background, without even maybe because I have a blueprint like that, right? I have maybe chosen to be on the healing space, and then I've chosen to serve humanity in some different levels. So my light codes have got activated, and to remind me who I am. And this even the understanding of what I'm doing, where I'm going, came only maybe after 5 6 years after I did, because until even 2019 I was doing it all this as a hobby. Only after 2019 2018 my clients became huge, and I also met with an accident where all my other aspects had to be shut down, and like I was a vegan baker and all that. So only my mouth was working, my hand also was not working at that time. It was all, I mean, it all came together. Even accidents happened, like as if something was getting fixed in my body. Whatever was sort of not okay in my body, accidents fixed that. Something and all have happened, and majorly because something is, my light codes probably are all planned like that, and then it was all playing out. The light codes activate when the frequency of the human body mirrors the frequency of the blueprint. Many blueprints are activated at a young age, and many are activated later in their human journey. In my young age, I have never been like this. I have never been spiritual. I was not even going in closing. I mean, I just probably would do this because my mother would tell me, but I had no interest in actually even going in front of God because it did not appeal to me. There was nothing like I hate God or I was an atheist or something. It's just that it was not a very interesting affair. Many blueprints are activated at a very young age. So the activation of the blueprint is intended upon by the HTC prior to incarnation. If they wanted to ensure that they would awaken into their blueprint while in the human form, that intention would be held within the blueprint's light codes. Every human form is holding their blueprint within their DNA. Not every human's blueprint will or need to be activated. It isn't imperative that all humans are activated into remembrance, but most humans will become activated. This is part of the evolution. Okay, here even I don't have any remembrance or anything. Even if you ask my case, I have no remembrance or anything. I am just observing and just am making conclusions. I am making some assumptions. Maybe kind of thing. But I don't have any such idea about, oh, I did this, and that's why I'm like this. Nothing like that, right? This is the part of the evolution in human consciousness. The light codes activate within the human DNA, and the human remembers who they are and why they are incarnated, regardless of their blueprint. So even in this class, right? Even in this class, if you are able to remember at some point, maybe during meditation or in some part of your human journey, maybe you will remember. Summary: the Akashic record is made up of light codes, all of which create human experience. The light codes are infused into the human DNA at the moment of incarnation. The Akashic record creates an intended map for the HTC to navigate the human journey. Aside from the blueprint, all of the light codes that creates the Akashic records are held in the third dimensional frequency. Okay, remember, aside from the blueprint, all of the light codes that create the Akashic records are held in 3D frequency. The blueprint is not in 3D, but the light codes and all are now getting embedded in a 3D body. When the human body is holding frequencies higher than 3D, the light codes within the Akashic records held in the DNA that are in the 3D frequencies will begin to alchemize or dissolve. We decided that, right? When the tapping is happening to the next level, what will happen to all the lower energies that were mimicking in the previous frequency? They will begin to either get out of the body or they will continue to transform into the next level. Higher frequencies will transform the lower into the same body itself. At that time, no detox and all will happen. It is getting adjusted. No need detox was necessary to adjust that, okay, to assimilate that or to alchemize that. But during the process of alchemization, some If some detox is happening, it means that it couldn't actually change without the detox process. The Akashic records will begin to dissolve. This we will explain in chapter 18. When you see the perfection in the Akashic records, and you will see that the HTC shows all of it, there is an ease and grace that can be experienced within the human journey. Okay, let's start chapter 7. We still have time. Creating the 3D human body. Once the earth was redesigned in the 3D field, we had to redesign the 5D human body, 5D human form to adapt to the 3D field. Until now, what has happened? Planning and all that have been done. Contracts have been made. Akashic records have been written. Light codes are ready. Everything is done. Now a body has to become ready. Now what they are doing? They had to redesign that 5D to 3D because that 5D human being could not just operate in the 3D. There had never been a 3D human form so far. So they had to think what to do. We had to ensure 3 things during the redesign. The physical form could exist within the 3D, which means whatever form that they decide. Now they had already designed the 5D, but that form could not apparently exist in the 3D. So now they had to design a body that could actually exist in 3D. This form could hold the HTCs incarnating into it. So they had to ensure that the 5th dimensional consciousness, most of them, they said that most of the people who have come to incarnate on earth are majorly 5th dimension consciousness, rather HTCs who are vibrating at a 5th dimensional consciousness, and then they are able to descend further into 3D. The human form could shift into higher dimensional fields also. So not only, now they are starting from 3D as the base, right? So now this body should also be able to ascend higher. What we did have, as the earth, as with the earth, most of the design of the 5D human form was kept in place for the 3D human form. It would have the same electrical grid, including the 12 energy centers, the energetic field, the channel connecting the human aspect with the higher self, I am present, and subtle bodies and ego. What we did have to restructure was the DNA and the light quotient. Light quotient because the percentage of connection, and then DNA also because now the DNA had to support light codes for 3D also, right? These 2 components were imperative in allowing the physical form to exist in the 3D field and the HTC to incarnate into the form. The redesign of these 2 features would also ensure that the human form could shift into 5D at some point. Restructuring the DNA. As we begin to restructure the DNA in the 3rd dimensional frequency, as explained previously, DNAs are light codes. Light codes are held in a structure within the human form called DNA strands. There are 2 types of light codes. The first set holds 10% of the DNA and creates the physical form. All the common stuff is there in the first 10%. The second set of 90% holds the percentage of the DNA. Now, what is the second person doing? Second set is mostly customization, which the HTC is going to do. These light codes hold the Akashic records and the higher dimensional abilities that the human has potential to awaken into during their lifetime. So during their lifetime, if they have planned or they have decided to awaken in the current life itself, all that will be there in that light codes. But if they have not decided to awaken their higher dimensional, their 5D level and all in the current body, that will not wake up. The light codes that created the 5D physical form were held in a 12D strand DNA crystalline structure. Okay. The physical form was now going to be anchored in the 3D field. Crystalline light codes cannot exist within the 3D form. We had to shift the frequency of the light codes down in order to be held within the 3D body. So they had to ensure that the DNA was also more solid in nature. We discovered, so experiments and all that were done, and I'm sure they took some time to understand how to be doing this. We discovered that carbon was a structure dense enough to hold the light codes. It's one of the simplest forms of matter in the 3D field. We also knew that carbon is malleable and could alchemize into light structure as the human form increases frequency. See, even you can see how carbon is actually happening in our body. We take in oxygen and carbon and dioxide comes out. We take in O2 and CO2 comes out, right? We slowed down the frequency of the crystalline 5D crystalline light codes into 3D light codes. We then condensed the light codes into 2 strands of carbon DNA instead of 12-strand crystalline DNA. 2 strands. That's why we have a double helix. The reason that there are only 2 strands of DNA in the 3D human form is because the 3D human body is much denser than the 5D body and can only hold a certain amount of light frequency within its DNA. Once we had the light codes condensed into 3D frequency, a 3D human body can now be created. The original 12D light codes are now contained within the 3D light codes held within the 2-strand carbon DNA. This means all information that the human would ever need as it shifts into higher dimensional field is held within the DNA. This includes the physical body's ability to shift into higher frequencies and the human's ability to access new ways of being as it shifts into higher frequencies. It is the frequency of the human body that will dictate the light codes that are available for the human to access. So that is why when they keep saying meditate, meditate, right? So as you meditate, as you become lighter from your old lower emotions and all of those things, then what will happen? Your body will become lighter and those set of light codes will start getting activated. A 3D human form holding a 3D frequency will only be able to access the 3D light codes. As the form holds higher frequencies, it will begin to access or activate light codes that are at higher frequency. These codes naturally begin to alchemize from carbon to crystalline to light. This alchemization process allows the human to live as a multi-dimensional human within the physical form. This is evolution and is only possible through the shifting of the light codes. Redesigning the light codes into 3D carbon-based structure allowed for the human form to exist in the 3D field as well as allowed for the human to experience and move through the evolution. It was restructuring of the light quotient that allowed the HTC to incarnate into the human form. So now they had to restructure and ensure that we'll see how much now percentage they are sending light quotients for the 3D human. Once we had the DNA redesigned, we focused on the amount of light quotient that the HTC could bring into the physical form. As explained in chapter 4, the light quotient is a percentage of the HTC's light that is held within the physical form when they incarnate. This is not what is shifting as the human evolves. So they have told us clearly that once that percentage is decided, that much only. After that, the body is going closer to the HTC and the HTC is not coming closer to the body or descending. The physical body evolves by shifting frequencies and dimensions. The light quotient remains in the same frequency and percentage throughout the human experience. The 5D human form was able to hold 16 to 20% of the higher dimensional consciousness's light. We found a balanced light quotient that enables the highest amount of light the consciousness could bring in without short-circuiting. Short-circuiting means burning the physical form. Short-circuit means even we get short-circuited, electrocuted. When we go and keep our finger inside that hole of the socket or something, electricity passes through us and then we will, something like that happens and die, right? So typically even when, I think when Bindu was asking about that possession and all that, no, when some of these earthbound, all that, when higher frequencies also, compared to the body, when something higher comes in also, that shaking happens. Because that currents are running through high frequencies and your body is actually not able to stay still in that vibrations. So that will vibrate the physical body itself. We had to find the same balance in the 3D form. We knew the light quotient would be much less due to the density of the body. We knew that we had to be very careful how much light was allowed into the 3D. Each consciousness dropping into the form was vibrating at a 60 frequency or higher. That we saw, right? Anybody who's coming into the participation. If we allowed 100% of 6D consciousness to enter the form, it would short circuit. The higher frequency light would be so intense that the physical form would burn and the organs would shut down. It is like putting finger. Just now I told that. It is like putting your finger into an electrical socket. It would damage the physical body. Our goal was to allow as much light quotient as possible into the human body, yet not much that would overload the body. See, you should also understand that sometimes we go and then we try to get knowledge, or we try to go into these chakra opening sessions, chakra opening meditations. I like meditation. Somebody was telling, no? So they like meditations and they keep doing meditation. So you need to also understand that forcing yourself to go and do something also sometimes, because it looks very desirable. Many of these things, right? Higher dimensional aspects looks very desirable. The more you go into that, you need to also ensure that the body is able to sustain those higher vibrations. However, we knew that the density would be very low. So we tested the amount of light that could be held. Many HTCs volunteered to incarnate into 3D, it seems, allowing us to gauge the amount of light the human form could hold. We started with 16% of the light quotient. We watched as the human body reacted and responded to light. Through trial and error, we were able to discover that 3D human form at best could function best with the maximum of 3% of light from the HTC. 3%, friends, not even something more. So only 3% of HTC is there in the higher dimensional consciousness in this physical body. The percentage fluctuated between 1% and 3% depending on the frequency of the HTC incarnating into the form. The higher a consciousness's frequency, the less light it could bring into the form. Okay? Because if it's too high, then it cannot vibrate at a lower form. So it will give only a tiny bit. The HTC's frequency, the less light it could bring into the form. For instance, if a 12th dimensional consciousness incarnated into human form, it could bring only 1 to 2% of light. If a 6th dimensional consciousness incarnated, it could bring only 3% of its light. So the closer they are to 3D, they will be able to go closer to that 3%. If they are farther away from 3D, they will be able to give only less percentage, 1 to 2%. The light quotient eventually increased over linear time as human body began to increase its frequency. When Earth began in the 3D around 20,000 to 15,000 linear years ago, the human form held 1 to 3% of HTC's light. 10,000 linear years later, the human was holding about 4 to 5%. And just 500 linear years ago, it was holding about 6 to 7%. Currently, the human form can hold 6 to 15%. As the earth plane and the human form increases its frequency, the light quotient for higher dimensional consciousness incarnating into the form will continue to increase. So which is why you need to understand, you can observe that as the generations started to proceed, the children were always smarter or far more different compared to the parents. And we go to the children and say, during my times, I was so adjusting, I used to go and walk without my slipper. I used to go to the school and come back. And you are asking for some two shoes, different shoes, Adidas, all of that. Don't you understand the value of money? All that people are talking about today, right? But understand that the percentage of light that our ancestors could hold was very, very little compared to what we are holding. And what our children are holding is far more greater. Today's babies are holding far more light compared to what we have. So today's babies are almost in oneness state. They are almost connected to that fifth dimensional state. Okay, so but we parents have to adjust to that level. Adjust and take care of them and all that. Okay. 7.3. 3D human body versus 5D human body. Let's compare. Once we had a DNA and the light quotient redesigned, we knew that the experience the HTCs would have within the 3D form would be very different from the 5D human form. The most significant difference is the connection with the electrical grid system within the body. We designed the electrical grid system to be navigational tool for the human. They could align and connect to the electrical grid system and have much easier time navigating the dense energetic fields. However, we realized that due to the density of the 3D form, the 3D field was going to be much more challenging for the human to connect to the electrical grid, which is our chakras and all that. This meant that it would be more difficult to remember who they are as consciousness, why they incarnated into the body. They will live in the illusion of the physicality. The 3D human will have a much more challenging time than the 5D human in remembering how the human experience works in physicality. They will create a very different experience with the electrical grid within the human form, which means each chakra might be denser, or some chakras will be dense, some chakras will not be rotating properly. So there will be a lot of clogging that will be happening because they are just living in the dark. The energetic field. Let's begin with the energetic field. As stated in chapter 3, there is an energetic field 18 inches out and around the human form. This field holds the frequency vibrating within the body. Remember what we had told about that energetic field? It is doing all the filtration and then giving us, and all we discussed, right? That oval shaped thing that is around our body, whatever comes from the other HTCs as an experience, it is going to get filtered based on our belief systems and memory and all of that, and then it is going to enter. Somebody might just offer you food. Let's say you're not talking to somebody, they might give you food genuinely because you're hungry, but you'll think that oh, now she wants to maybe talk to me, is it? That is why she's giving food. Like I've heard, recently somebody was saying, they inquired how are you and all that. Then that person said, oh, you don't have to appreciate me. I'm going to take care of your child. I'm going to take care of your daughter. So appreciation also, somebody is taking it as a when somebody is appreciating, they are taking it as if I'm doing some maska to you, so that if my child is with you, then they will be taken care of. So each person interprets it differently because it is coming through the electrical grid, energetic grid. This field holds a frequency vibrating within the body. The energetic field allows the human to navigate, experience, and understand the external world energetically. So if somebody is able to measure this energetic field, they'll be able to tell whether we are in 3D frequency, whether we are in 4D frequency, or whether we are in 5D frequency. Or let's say even within the 3D, 3.1, 3.8, 3.4, 3.2, whatever, wherever we lie, even within the dimension, they will be able to able to measure energetically, and then they'll be able to tell you. However, in the 3D field, the human does not remember that the external world around them is energy. The human body is so dense and the light quotient is so low that experiencing the energetic field is almost impossible. All the human sees is physicality, and thus they believe everything internally and externally is physical. They are unaware they have an energetic field allowing them to process this energetic world. They forgot that they are contained within an energetic field, allowing them to experience their life feeling safe, free, and empowered. It will take thousands of years and an increase in the human's form frequency until the humans will be able to remember and feel their energetic frequency, energetic field. So it took a long time for people to even understand, or at least people have started waking up to feeling their chakras and understand, not just chakras, forget about chakras, even to understand that, okay, this is coming in, I need to be aware about this, aware about that, right? We have all discussed about all this awareness. To even understand that, right, all the knowledge that is coming in, even to understand that, it took many thousands of years, it seems. Ego structure. The ego structure in the 3D human form is another component of the electrical grid system that is experienced very differently in the 5D. The ego is an energetic structure we designed for the human body to keep the human body physically safe. So the 3D human body is in a much denser physical plane and a variety of consciousnesses for the human to experience. There is polarity, duality within 3D, creating a more complex human journey to navigate. The ego will play a much larger role for the 3D human. It will not only navigate and maintain the safety of the physical body, but it will also maintain the safety of the emotional and mental bodies as well, which is why not just when the lion comes, we are trying to run away or fight the lion. Even when somebody is trying to threaten us with something emotionally or mentally challenging our belief systems, we are also defending that also. Its largest role is to ensure that the human does not feel pain, discomfort, trauma, or anything that does not feel good, right? So whatever it thinks that will give it pain. Now, let's say some outcome is going to give it pain because it doesn't want to face that outcome. And if you go through that outcome, then the human body has a belief system that it will feel bad about it. So it is going to go and defend that also. Trauma means they will not go in front of anybody who will give them trauma. Trauma is a perspective. Many times in my own client cases, there have been people who have come to me and they've told, in my house, my mother has beaten us a lot, or my mother has scolded us a lot. She was always angry, or she was whatever. They'll tell me, and then they will treat that as a trauma in their life. Okay. And they will take that as something that they've experienced because of that. My childhood was not okay types. But same thing also people have come and they'll tell, yo, my mother was always angry, pa. And yeah, I knew, yeah, she also had so much of work to do. And I also just went along with so I would not even feel bad when she was angry or something. I would understand that she'll anyway be angry, and then they would take it as a cup of cake. Sorry, a cakewalk. They didn't really actually take it to heart, and there were people who actually took it to heart and treated that as trauma, right? So I've seen both kinds of people. The ego is held in its own energetic field. For the ego to function in the 3D human body, we had to shift its energetic field down from 5D frequency to 3D. This will allow the human to connect to the ego and easily follow its guidance. So wherever it will guide you to not feel pain, not feel discomfort, not feel trauma, all that. So even diseases, how we try to run away from diseases, because of the ego only, ultimately. So the ego will be the human's guide and will sound like the human's internal voice. Okay. Now Sangeeta has got her answer. Okay. Now who is this higher self? We will read this and then we will stop. In the 5D field, the higher self was responsible for guiding the human throughout its life. The 3D human will have a very different relationship and experience with the higher self. The density of the 3D human body creates a more challenging connection with the HS. As we stated in chapter 4, the HS is an aspect of the HTC. It resides in a slightly higher frequency in the 5D human body, but a much higher frequency than the 3D, much higher frequency than the 3D body. It is held within the 8th energy center, connecting the human body through the energetic channel. Unlike the 5D human form, the density within the 3D human form makes it almost impossible for the humans to connect to the higher self. For instance, imagine you're trying to speak to someone through a long tunnel. You are on one end and they are on the other end. If the tunnel was clear, your voice would echo all the way to the end and be heard. However, if there were physical objects such as people, water, wind clogging in the tunnel, it would be very difficult for your voice to reach the other person. And in case it reached them at all. This is how the channel works in connecting the human to the HS. There is always an energetic connection between the HS, the human and the HS, which you can take the HS as a tunnel, it seems. However, the density within the human body, which is people, physical objects, water, wind, clogs the channel and creates a lack of clarity between the human and the higher self. The 3D human form is so dense in nature that connecting to the channel and thus the higher self can be challenging. Also, along with the density of the human form, external experiences including trauma can create a more density in the channel. See, because the ego is always busy trying to protect you from this trauma, that issue, that pain and all of that. No? So ego is always going to continue to keep operating and keep the denseness. So because of that, HS will not, you will not be able to connect to HS at all. The external experiences are energy. When the experiences enter the human body, they are consciousnesses that the human does not want to feel throughout the body, through the body. They will, if they are consciousness that the human does not want to feel through the body, they will remain in the body. These consciousnesses have the potential to clog or create more density within the body, making it more difficult to hear the higher self. The more density, the more difficult it is to connect to the higher self. So the more your body becomes lighter, then obviously that lightness will be able to, the energy channel, the energetic field will start flowing properly. So then the higher self will, then you'll be able to at least get some bits and pieces of information from the higher self. The role of the HS for the 3D human is same as the 5D, to guide them throughout their life. The nature of the 3D field makes it almost impossible for the human to be led by the HS. Therefore, the 3D human follows the guidance of the ego while remaining energetically connected to the HS. It is connected to the HS, but the ego is playing a far more predominant role. It isn't until the human body starts to hold higher frequencies that the human begins to connect into and embody the higher self. They will eventually follow the guidance of the higher self. Until then, the higher self's role for the human is to be its internal compass, if and when it can hear its voice. The voice will be human's intuition, its knowingness. Although many humans are familiar with these terms and perhaps even listen to their intuition, it requires the body to hold higher frequencies, for the human to connect and walk through life under the guidance of the higher self. Okay, stop here. Okay, any questions, friends? Let me just. Yeah. Nidhi?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hi.
Ma'am, you're looking very beautiful today.
Thank you.
Ma'am, three questions, ma'am. Like they were saying, the more we are connected to the higher self, to the HTC, or the higher the dimension is, the lower the light quotient that is there in the body. So earlier it was between 1 to 3%, then it is increasing gradually. So does it means that earlier the souls who were there, they were from higher dimensions, and now it is shifting to like slowly falling to fifth dimensions?
No, not like that. Even then, let's say in let's say you are in the third generation. Now let's say in the okay, no, I'll not say. Okay, now let's say you are in the 7th generation of your ancestral line. Now maybe in the 3rd generation, there would be definitely people coming from 12th dimension, but their connection percentage of light would be, let's say, 1% or something. At the time, the person would be like literally in 3D. He'll be like totally unconscious of many things, but he'll be completely in 3D, literally engaging in physicality. They were still from HD, they were still from higher dimensional consciousness, but their ego was far more higher. Their ego's role is definitely far more higher, and that 1% was hardly anything. But as generations started improving, right, because linear time was passing, right? So as generations started improving, maybe at the 7th generation, you are probably holding a 10 to 15% of light. So compared to your ancestor, you have a far more access, or you have a reality where PSSM is happening to you, books are coming to you, free meditations are happening, you are able to go astral traveling, or whatever it is you're basically doing. At that time, they didn't have all that.
So, ma'am, like as you're saying, the dimensions are inversely proportional to the light quotient. So it means that it is not such, because it's only when the consciousness or the awareness is increasing, then only we are able to increase the light quotient. So it is
Correct.
indifferent.
It is the body's capacity. Because as the body's frequency is increasing, it would be it would be going higher, no? So in the distance will become closer, no? This distance becomes shorter. Now, if the body is now here, it will get only 1%. If the body is here, it will get 15%.
So
Before
only the
incarnation, only light
consciousness,
quotient happens.
so the consciousness is increasing, the awareness is increasing, and the frequency is able to increase, and that is how they are able to hold more light
Correct.
quotient.
Let's say you only were born in that third generation. You only was that grandfather, and you had only 1% at that time. And then over a period of, let's say, constantly coming in this family or some other family, and then coming back to this family in the seventh generation, now you have a higher percentage of light, because now your body, your experience in the 3D has now increased. Your wisdom has increased. So your subtle body will now have different data. And you will now be able to create a body with, now you're not creating a body for lower emotions. You're creating a body for slightly different kind of experiences.
So as in how the wisdom is increasing, the soul's wisdom is increasing, the experiences it is gaining. So it is able to plan more depending on the wisdom it has gained. It is able to plan further incarnations in a progressive way, and that
Right.
is how the light. This is
Right.
what
This
I
is also coming back to your, this is also coming back to your thing about infant soul, child soul, toddler soul, and all that. Yesterday you asked, right? So similarly like this one. It's similar to that. So based on where you stand in that hierarchy, your wisdom has actually increased. So which is why now your energy field is now having a lot more higher frequencies. Which is why your body is also able, they were able to create a body with higher, which is now vibrating at a higher frequency, which is why before incarnation, they had all this. Before incarnation only, all these things were there. So they were able to create a physical body with that frequency, which is why light quotient is now higher.
Clear, ma'am, very much clear. Ma'am, the next thing is, in this book, they were in Divine Design, it was mentioned that suppose I'm incarnating as a mother and my son is incarnating as my son. So when I'm incarnating, my son and I are making contracts with each other. So the contract is like made much before my son is born. But ma'am, in few places, I was, like I was reading. Ma'am, sorry, my son is disturbed.
No, you want to talk to him? I can finish off other questions and come back.
No, ma'am, it's clear. So, like I was reading in some places that even when the baby is about to be born, or like when the mother gets pregnant, then also then also the contract is made. Uh,
Nidhi, are you there?
Decides that okay, he or she will incarnate with this bodies. So are these situations also?
You can see any time before incarnation, these contracts are made. I don't know if you're able to hear this. Anytime
No, ma'am,
before
the video
incarnation
froze.
only. Anytime
Okay.
before incarnation, the contract is made.
Okay, so not necessarily that at before 30 years or 40 years before only it has to be made. It is one of the options. Anyway, any which way it can be done.
See, you can imagine like this. Now I am 30, let's say I'm 40. Okay, let's say when my daughter was born, I was 30 years old. But technically, she's in linear form. She's being born after 30 years of me, right? At my 31st year, she's being born. So linear scale wise, she technically contracted with me when I was at my that level, no? Yeah. When I was in level, when I was incarnating as a body as Smita. Before that incarnation, she would have done some planning. But in that level, there is nothing like before, after time and all that.
Now moment.
Now, yeah, it's all in the now moment.
Now clear.
Just to understand, I will think that, oh yeah, I technically had a contract with her 31 years before.
For us 3D humans, we can understand it from the linear perspective, but over there, everything is in the now moment.
Correct,
30 years is also in the now moment, before is also in the now moment.
Correct.
Yes. Ma'am, one more question, ma'am. One more question. And I think the teachings of the Pleiadians or Bringers of the Dawn, or in some other book, it was mentioned, like what I understood is that the humans were first born either in 5D, I think, with 12 strands of DNA. But then uh, the fallen angels, what they did was they took away few strands of DNA, and they removed few strands of DNA so that we could not uh, raise our consciousness, or raise to higher consciousness. And then now the time has come that we are now able to actually activate further strands of DNA. But while reading in Divine Design, it's what I understood is that when the earth
The design itself has been redesigned, no? Just
so ma'am, it is not because for the fallen angels, it is
So they didn't talk about fallen angels doing anything here, and here there is nothing about fallen angels actually even having access to any of these things. It's all about GFOL managing the whole show, no? Yeah, I know, I understand that there was this difference, and there has been a lot of negative connotation that has been mentioned, and everybody could access. And I somehow want to believe the Divine Design thing because it is more structured, and they had. See, even if you take the feeling that okay, fallen angels basically tried to tamper with the DNA, and then 5D went close to 3D and all that. I mean, because in the millions of years, interaction between each other eventually took the entire community or the collective down, no? At that time, definitely somebody has influenced people to do all these things. In general, there has been an influence to go down, no? We don't know at that time how that influence happened. That has not been covered in 3D. Okay. During that million years, how did they even go to 3D was not there. It is only mentioned that we fell to 3D. In this, yes, we fell to 3D, but then again wiping out happened, and then we redesigned happened.
Because I remember, like Dipti ma'am also said that this garlic is more or less a spy of the fallen angels, which has been planted onto the earth so that we are unable to raise our consciousness. And all these things were there, and also that DNA has been taken out from humans so that we are not able to
maybe all that happened at that time. Maybe
but it is DD is silent about it. It is not that.
See, we are talking here. They only mentioned that yes, they fell down to 3D after that, and they said we took it. It just did not happen overnight. It took millions of years, and then we realized that they actually fell to 3D. And at that time, I'm sure all that happened. Okay. They might have silenced everything. The DNA might have got tampered. All that might have been done. But at that time, what these people are saying, they didn't talk about it here. They didn't talk about that part here. Then let's say they wiped out everything. And now now at this point that we are reading, they are restarting the body. And in that body, we are technically two strand DNA only. But they are saying that the rest of it is now not deactivated. It is not able to perform. Yeah, it is dormant. But when you raise your frequency, those light codes will be automatically alchemized into higher frequencies.
Understood.
Essentially, it is still the same. Essentially, even GFOL has basically made them dormant, if you ask. Right? Why? For a certain reason. But how did we fall to 3D? Maybe because of many of the 4D races and all of that, we fell down into 3D. So if we just have to merge all of these things together, it's still logical only. But I don't know about anything about, I know that she tells about garlic, but although I don't eat garlic and all that, but still, I personally don't want to have a hate relationship with garlic. That's my personal opinion. I don't want to believe that anything in the cosmos is an enemy. Yes, they may play different roles that may not be very, what do you say, supportive. See, this word called supportive to the growth, or I mean, growth is a very, it depends on everyone's perspective. a person who's going on the negative path, he's also using his own creation and going in the evolutionary growth only. And then he'll fall at some point and he'll say, oh, I don't want to choose this path, and he'll come back. So yeah, at that time, let's say even garlic led him to that path, and then eventually he only quit that path. And here in this book, they are clearly saying that it's all planned, no?
So ma'am, was the fall also planned? No, it was
No,
unexpected. It
no, that
was
was,
not
yeah, the fall,
anticipated.
I don't think was planned. Everybody
But
was
they say
aware
that,
at that time.
but they say that everything happens for a good reason, or like everything is happening for the highest good. So
Yeah,
is it
I personally believe that everything happens for a good reason. Why? Because for me, let's say you're given a treasury. When you're born only, you're given all the treasury. How will you even realize the value of what you have?
value? Yes, yes. I
Yes.
too had this.
So in fact, that day I told that, and then they said no, whatever. Anyway, each person is different, but I think from my perspective, and because I've literally followed a lot of Bhagavad Gita and all of those things, I truly think that we needed this 3D experience to really understand the value and literally earn our place in the 5D and more.
I think I understand it from this perspective that we are facing duality more. Like the earth is also facing duality more, and the separation has been so much that the eagerness to actually join or to go back to the supreme power is more. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah. See, 5D human already has everything. What is the motivation for him to go to? He's already in oneness. He's already understanding what is divine love and all that. So what is his motivation to go to 7D, 8D and all that? I can tell only from my 3D head. Maybe there is a motivation. Who knows? Maybe there are consciousnesses that they know that are there in higher frequencies, which maybe are not in 5D. But like for example, they said that the female energies and the male energies are still are separate in 5D, but they are balanced. But at the seventh and eighth and all that, it is at the eighth and all that, it is completely one. There is only
Merge.
one form of energy, unified field, they say, right? So maybe that is a motivation for them. But here we are literally in God's creation only. We are seeing the highest separation from God's creation. In God's creation, we are experiencing the highest separation. From the highest separation, we are navigating in our own sweet timeline back to that source. Nobody has given us a timeline, but then, and we know that we are anyway not going to die, and everything is happening in the now moment. For us, it's 100 years, 200 years, or whatever, but for them, it's all happening in the now moment, they said, no? So why would they not come back? They'll keep coming back. People will keep coming back. And they are eager to come back. If somebody says, in 1 minute, your life will be, you'll experience like everything, all ups, downs, everything, and it'll be a very, very like a giant ride, that roller coaster ride. They will come. We also go to a roller coaster ride, no? Within 2 minutes, that roller coaster ride is over. And it's so thrilling. Isn't it? We also go for the ride. Now also we are going these days.
For me, it's not the fall from the grades is actually rising towards the grace. In my head, it's keep coming like this only. It's
Yeah,
not
I
a fall.
always feel that
It's
God
not a
has his
fall.
Leela. God literally, see, you can't blame anybody in this whole fall process, right? I personally don't think I can blame anybody, because everybody is a creation of God. If everybody is a creation of God, and if everybody has that of God, how can you say that somebody is wrong?
Even the demon is a part of God. He is also a
Everybody
child
is a
of God.
part of God. So I wouldn't want to call anybody, I wouldn't want to name anybody from the negative connotation. From anybody's perspective, how can you say that what God is? Nobody knows what God is. Everybody experiences one level less than God only. So at that God source level, he is the one who wants to experience. No, if he wants experience in lower dimensions, he will make it happen. His Leela, he will make it happen. And we are all his Katputli.
Yes.
right?
True.
So I feel that it is all happening for the good, and everything happens for the goods. And we are all his instruments. We just have to
He's
keep
the
giving
director
those
and we are just
experiences.
playing different characters in the film.
Yeah. Tomorrow when he closes his eyes, we are all poof, gone. So हमारा अस्तित्व क्या है? Nothing, no, in that sense. So why should we have that individuality? Why should we say that this is wrong, that is right? Technically, there is no right, no wrong. Whatever he wants, he's playing out, and we are just going along. So there is nothing wrong at any point in time, in my opinion. And of course, that is not what PSSM says. Especially from a new energy concept and all, they really don't talk like this. But everybody has an opinion. I respect whatever they say. I've taken all the best things from that teaching,
Correct.
and I still have the same respect towards them for it. But for me, from coming from a Bhagavad Gita standpoint, and I've kept hearing many of these things that nothing is good, nothing is bad, nothing is good. When we keep hearing those things, right? I still want to believe that nothing is wrong, and everything is God just playing
That's
playing
good.
a part in
God's will.
everything. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Sangeeta?
No.
Hi.
So if someone um, is getting enlightenment in his lifetime, would that also be part of the blueprint?
Yeah, I'm sure. Because if he has to get enlightenment, then he has to have experiences which leads him to that path, no? Maybe there is a teacher, or maybe there is a person giving him a process. Sit and meditate for 5 hours or something like that. Whatever is it, it's a part of the plan.
And are the blueprints are there different blueprints for different lifetimes
Yes.
of the same HDC?
Yes, they said even Akashic record is a blueprint only, right? So they said no, they have different Akashic records for different incarnations.
But then they should be linked to each other so that to ensure that all the experiences that HDC was supposed to experience, he has experienced it in the previous lifetimes.
That is anyway there in the at the higher
Hello?
level, it is anyway captured. See, Akashic
Hello?
record is a very third dimensional concept.
No.
Are you there?
I have internet.
Yeah, you have.
Oh, okay.
The Akashic record, or this plan and all that, is a very third dimensional concept. It was not necessary for a 5D. So if it was not necessary for a 5D, they also went through incarnations, no? Where was it stored at that time? In the energy field, or wherever it was at the HDC level.
No, HS had access to the blueprint in 5D field.
Did we have blueprint in 5D?
Yeah, I think so. But they didn't talk about Akashic records.
They didn't talk.
They talked about blueprints.
Okay,
but
so
not
if they talked about
Akashic.
blueprint, then that is also a plan. See, there is information, there is all that information is anyway there, because everything is happening in the now moment, right? So they can access that information. There is no memory as such. There is no record keeping as such in the 5D. So everything is available in the now moment, so it is all happening in the now moment. So they can see this side, they can see this side, everything is all here only. So they didn't have to see past life, future life, and in that context, it was all happening, coming together as a information. They were all able to perceive it together. But here, they needed a blueprint because they had to see what this guy is going to do, what this guy is not going to do, and all of that. And even for that human body to be able to see his past and all that, they needed to get him to a certain level to see those. They can, in that now moment only, there are also past Akashic records, future Akashic records. They didn't say that we are going to delete the Akashic records. No. There are records. But this record for current incarnation is different. There are people who can read Akashic records. Practitioners. Other people's Akashic records they can read. And how will they read? They are actually channeling a HS. They are not reading. They are able to channel a HS who can read it or who gives that information, because that is their blueprint to be a Akashic record reader.
So they can connect to our HS to access our blueprint.
Yes. Because you will have a plan to go and sit in front of them and ask them some question, because based on what they say, you will probably have some lesson to learn and go further and do some action. So at that time, you'll encounter such people in your life.
Okay. So from 3D, we are trying to aim at oneness from duality, but actually 5D humans who already have oneness, they still have an aim to reach the source.
Absolutely.
So there is also an enlightenment for 5D humans.
See, enlightenment is not about source. Enlightenment is, who am I? I am the soul.
I am the source.
That only is enlightenment. You are becoming enlightened about who you are. You technically know you are a soul, but have you experienced that state? No.
No,
So when you
not for
experience
me,
that
but
state, that is called enlightenment.
So experience that state means merging with the source, not physically, but at the mental level.
Technically merging with your higher self.
Ah,
and knowing what the
merging with
higher self knows. Yeah, that's all. You're going to that level. That's all. That level
So
of
5D
knowing.
humans are already connected to the higher self.
Yeah. There was
So
no
they are
there is no
already
concept of
enlightened.
enlightenment for them. They already know who they are.
They are already enlightened, that means.
This enlightenment concept is from 3D. It was never there in 5D. They already see, we don't know who we are. Knowing who we are is like a milestone for us. But they already knew who they are, no? So they knew their plan, they knew their Earth's experiment, they had connection to the quantum field, they had everything with them. So what is the concept of enlightenment? They already knew how they are going to go up also. And they know how they are going to take in experiences also. Everything was like a cakewalk. But here we are lost.
Okay.
That's why all this.
Okay. So they are already enlightened and we are seeking enlightenment. Okay. Another question.
That also we are seeking so that we can live here and experience 3D properly and not with that deluded state. See, at that time you can experience fear also nicely with that state of oneness. Then you can experience, let's say, some thief who's coming and robbing your stuff also. You'll be able to treat him objectively. Why? Because you're not trying to blame him, say, or shout at him. All that is not happening, no? Because you're already in that state. You know exactly it's all a game. And you'll be able to see his blueprint. You'll be able to see his plan. Oh yeah, he had planned to be a thief. Okay, we had a contract that he will come and rob us because I wanted robbing experience. All that you will be able to see. Now what? Now there is no fun at all. No, I mean, you're actually playing it out. That's all. You're giving and taking each other, and you're genuinely enjoying. Literally enjoying inside your head.
So if I am not enlightened, I can experience a wide spectrum of emotions. When a thief comes, I can be angry, fear, everything. But when I am enlightened, there is only one emotion, bliss or at peace. Only few certain emotions that I can access.
Yeah, exactly. Spectrum of consciousness.
So I'm kind of limiting myself in that spectrum.
But there is no sadness and all in that state. Because as you go higher,
okay,
you don't have things that we get here. Your neighbor, when he shouts at you or something, you will not get angry. All that will not happen. And you will not think about my neighbor, my cranky neighbor. You will not think about all that. If you like to be having a cranky neighbor, then it's fine. But then maybe in those states, cranky neighbor doesn't matter.
So I, as a 3D human, know that those are negative emotions and I should try to avoid them and go above them. But an HTC who wants to be here only for experience, for him it is more beneficial to stay in 3D, just experience things.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
he goes
Which
to
is
5D, he is limiting the amount of
yeah,
experience.
exactly. See, that is why they say even the other masters, even Deepthi was basically saying in one of her classes that it is not just because you go to some higher state doesn't mean that you will disappear from here or you will basically go off to some higher place or whatever. It is never like that, because what about your plan of experiencing this 3D in that state, in the enjoyment state? As long as you were here, if you were only worried about this, that, and all in some of the emotions, now you will have a chance to experience the same emotions in a different way, in a more positive way. Correct? So your journey is not ending there.
Okay.
It does not end with enlightenment. There is more to come. Which is why what they do is after that state also, they keep coming back in the process of giving knowledge or sharing knowledge with the crowd. And then they will experience all these lower frequency emotions again. And then they will neutralize it in the state of oneness. And then they will enjoy that also as a game.
And what is that state called when we don't have to come back again? I thought it's enlightenment, but
No, it's not enlightenment. It's a state where you are no longer having, what do you say? There is no need
when
to
we have
come,
finished off our karmic records.
something like that. I think until the 11th dimension or something. No, not 11th dimension. One of that heavens they were talking about, right? Suvarloka, Bhuvarloka, some Satyaloka. Until Satyaloka, whatever that state is, until that state, people will continue to keep coming back because there is a karmic cycle associated. Either you have too much of good in your account, even if you don't have bad in your account, to finish the good, you have to keep coming.
Finish the good also, we have to come.
Yeah, it has to be zero. You'll have a great experience here.
So the only way is to stay neutral in everything. You don't create any good or bad karma.
Yeah. But now you may not be able to do that because you're still early in the chain. So by the time you are in that state where you are not making any bad at all, you'll still have good. Because you'll still be, let's say, helping people, maybe lifting, maybe making a blind cross the road. All that you'll anyway do, no? Because you'll want to do it. It's not like you're sitting in one place and then just staring at the world like this. Maybe that state will come at some point.
Okay. Now, about light quotient, we discussed 5D humans had 16 to 20%, and 3D humans, in the beginning, they started with 3%, and over the various lifetimes, now it has evolved to 6 to 15%. But at the time when 5D humans fell to 4D and 3D, they were still carrying 16 to 20% light quotient. And they were able to survive in 3D as 3D humans.
See, those people
Why was there
knew who
not
they
a
are.
short circuit at that time?
I don't know. Because maybe the 5D human, I don't know, maybe why short circuit did not happen at that time. Maybe those the bodies were capable, or maybe they still had those frequencies, but they were only experiencing 3D. Not sure.
Okay. Then
see, the short circuit happens when the body is not designed for that. But they did not realize that the body was capable enough of going lower. The body went lower also, but at the same time, it did a 3D stuff and all that. But maybe to actually plan it out properly, they needed to redesign the body. And maybe only certain humans or certain higher dimensional consciousnesses were able to go to 3D at that time. Because they have not explained that, no? Because as the quotient, as they go far away from the quotient, maybe some people could not sustain that drop. People maybe at 5 and 6 only were able to sustain that drop. and they went
So
down.
maybe there was a fitness, survival of the fittest kind of, a lot
Yeah,
of short
possible.
circuits happened and only
Maybe,
few were able.
yeah, maybe they died also at that
Mm.
time, because when we ask these questions only, then we'll be able to understand, okay, in which book all this is written. But at least it's not here. And as far as I know, it has not been explained in any book so far.
Okay, we talked about contracts before incarnation. Now, situations where mothers have miscarriages or abortions, these are also contracts.
See, they'll have a contract to get the child, but sometimes the soul only will decide that no, I don't want to go further. In some now moment, they'll break the contract. Those are miscarriages. Or they will realize that I had a contract, but I'm not able to continue with the body that the mother has, current body that the mother has. They would have planned, but maybe they are not able to sustain in the mother's body. Then they'll drop. But when they do abortions, the baby would have planned, the mother would have planned, but in her mother's thing, they go ahead and drop the baby. At that time, what they say in books is they'll have to go through that payback of making the body of HTC's plan and all that. They killed that body, no? So they'll have to pay back as karma, they say that. So at that time, what will happen? If they have done that, they will also experience that in some form.
So
For
in this
example,
book, we
there
will
was
talk
a
about breaking of contracts also.
when you go into each of these topics, right, that it's a huge topic. Everything has a depth, and everybody has written books in depth about that. Dolores Cannon has written a lot of books about these contracts. Plenty of books that are especially on these topics. And yeah, we'll have to read those books to see different kind of contracts, breaking of contracts. How did that play out later? All that.
Okay, one more question. 5D humans, are their channel always clean?
Yeah, they said no, they were always clean.
They were always clean.
Because they were designed to experience it, to express, to understand the emotion, and then also release it. They were not in that mindset to hold anything. Yeah, Soul's Gift and Soul's Plan by Robert Schwartz. Those are good books. Both are good books. You can actually read them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll send it to you offline or something like that. Okay, yeah. I'll contact you on that. Yeah, Bindu?
Hello.
Yeah, Bindu?
Yes. In this contract and all we were talking now. So, is there an option that we change our contract in midway? Will that also, like whatever we are experiencing, that also will be in the contract, right? So will there be any change? See, we are doing something like a thief, he's stealing. So will there be a change in their contract?
See, if you
Or
have to
that
change your
also-
contract, if you have to change your contract midway, you have to get to that higher state. The state where you wrote the or made the contract in the first place. So you will have to get to that state of the higher self kind of level, and then you should be able to break the contract at that level.
So this is a bit
meditatively,
like,
many people go back to their past lives and all that, and they actually resolve their issues.
Yeah, I've
Those
heard
are
that.
done at that state only. Those are done at that state only, because you're not sitting like this and you're not breaking a contract. Because if you're sitting and breaking a contract because you have likes and dislikes, you don't like something, which is why you want to break a contract. It doesn't work like that. You didn't make the contract, no? The body didn't make the contract. So why will you be able to change at the body's level? You'll have to go to the level where the blueprint was done. Your sthiti. So in the same sthiti, you can go rewrite the contract.
Okay.
With the HS or something of the other person.
So for instance, a thief, he will have to be a thief for life. He wouldn't have the awareness of like raising his frequency, he going to that soul level or HS level and changing the contract and all those things. So will such people will be like that only? Or
they'll be thieves only.
Will there be an option like when they make the blueprint and Akashic records there itself, they would say like for these many years, they would be in this.
They'll have, I want to be a thief kind of thing. Rather, I want to experience stealing. So all those kinds of things will be there. But timelines are not mentioned because it depends on how much he will learn in this thievery experience. So he can finish off in this life itself, or he'll continue to the next life, depending on whether he's satisfied with whatever he learned in this life. That he'll decide after that body.
So the person won't get an awareness like what I'm doing, like anything, not just stealing, anything, whatever that person, abuser also, whatever it is, won't that person get any chance of like knowing that no, what I'm doing is wrong? Because we are in the 3D.
It will come at some point, because evolution is happening. Sun is already sending, and the earth is evolving, right? Because the earth is evolving and everything is basically happening. Your body is constantly taking in higher energies. It is alchemizing, sending. So at some point you'll keep going higher. At some point you'll say, I'm not going to steal anymore because I'm done. I've experienced enough, and now I'm not going to do it. But when he actually planned that, did he know how much earth is going to evolve, how much people are going to contribute, or this or that? That and all is unknown. So he knows that at some point I'm going to do that. Whether it will happen in this life, next life, he doesn't know. But we are all evolving, right? Before we even came to this state, did we know we are going to come to this state? Did we have awareness? No, I didn't. We never had awareness.
Yes.
So we all go. We are all on a slow moving train. People are getting down, people are climbing the moving train. Okay?
Yeah.
What was this? I read that if they are unable to go further in the soul plan, they connect with their guides. That's what I'm saying, right? How do you connect with their guides? If you don't have connection to talk to HS itself, you need to do something to go get to that level, no, where you can talk to them. That's what I'm saying. So you need to get to that level where you made the contract in the first place. That's sthiti you need to go, and it means that you are working with some higher self only and doing it just. Then you're working with your higher self only and doing this. It's not like you are physically doing something, right? You are working with your guides and you're working with your HS and all that at some energetic point that is happening. But you see, it is also possible that maybe in your sleep, when you're sleeping, and then you may have astral traveled, and then there also you meet your HS and all of those things. So you may do some things there also. There may have been so many changes that happened at that level when you spoke to them also. So it is not necessary that in your conscious state itself, you're physically trying to do all these things. In your unconscious state, many things happen when you sleep, because your astral body is running away everywhere. So there, what all happens, where all it goes, which all teachers it meets, how many times it meets the HS, what all replanning is happening, we don't know. It is all happening. But what we have to believe that whatever is happening currently in my life, it is all planned.
So in the astral travel time, when they meet the HS, the soul meets the HS, that time the replanning can happen.
Yeah.
So maybe that is the reason why people change in midway or something like that.
Yes.
Hmm.
What in midway? What? While
Midway,
traveling, he
yeah,
met
yeah,
them
they
midway.
change, no? Like as
Ah,
I
okay,
said
yeah,
before,
yeah.
yeah, they
See,
change.
at some
Suddenly
point
they
in
change. Maybe
at
the
some point,
contract they want as what they have wanted to experience is over, or it can be like they have replanned.
at some point, what I'm saying is they will just say, oh yeah, maybe this is not working as per your intention of going to Earth, as per your high level plan or whatever. So maybe these aspects we will remove. It is not working out for you, or you are not able to learn anything from this. So let us change this part and then include this part. And so I'm sure these things will happen. Maybe new contracts are made, old contracts are broken.
You're detoxing again.
No, something, whatever.
Okay.
It's okay. I call it spiritual activation.
Nice.
See, that's what, no, sometimes we don't like all these things. Where ego, they said, right? The ego, Sangeeta was asking about that detox. So ego doesn't like the body to detox because it wants the body to be comfortable all the time. It wants the body to not feel pain, not feel trauma, not feel suffering and all that. And when we treat many of these things like a discomfort, dis-ease, then we try to push it back. We try to suppress it. We try to say, what gave me this? Let me fight it. Oh yeah, food gave me this. Let me fight food. Or maybe pollen grains gave me this. Let me fight the pollen grains. So we are always behind something because we are trying to blame something or the other. Because ego wants to blame. It wants to fight against something. It wants to avoid something. It is all in the head.
We often say we should drop our ego, but is ego always negative? No, it also has a positive role. So
Yeah,
we have
ego
to
is
refine our
created for a
ego.
certain reason, right? But we need to be able to understand, okay, fine, this is what ego is doing, but is it helping me on the path to wherever I want to go? So when the ego takes that measure, maybe it'll try to say, okay, do the chuck, some habits are going to come in. Because ego is a bunch of habits only. Ego is working so quickly based on a bunch of habits that you've created where you've used your ego excessively in the past. Now, when you don't want to use so much of ego will still play out based on your past habits. But when it plays your past habits, you need to, rewire yourself and say, okay, I'm going to choose to do this. By habit, I will anyway do this, but now I'm going to choose to do something different. So now your intellect is now coming into in between and saying, no, I'm going to take a discretion. I'm going to take this decision and then I'm going to do this. Now your intellect is going to advise your mind versus ego advising the mind what to do.
Ego will still stay. It's just that it won't be in the driver position. The intellect would be at the driver position.
Yeah. At some point, ego will dissolve and then you will say, ego will say, I am surrendered because I don't mean anything. It is all about God. All that ego only is telling.
So by
Ego
dissolving,
now,
you mean it is taking its allotted position.
Yeah, ego is now not, it's taking rather you have reduced the ego such that ego does not have to protect the body anymore because now it has surrendered. It is not in fear because ego has understood through all of this work or practical lessons that I am not in fear anymore because I am under the shelter of God or whatever it is, even if I don't have to fear death. When the fear of dying and all goes off, then the need to protect the body goes off.
But for 5D humans, ego was put there with the purpose of safety for physical form.
Yeah, but then it eventually turned into something else, no? They started to get attached to the physical body and then it went off somewhere else.
Yeah. And now when we want to drop the ego, we want to drop it from the current level to the allotted job that it was given. That is physical safety only.
See, you have to understand that when we go surrender when we practice surrender, what happens? Then you're telling, I don't have to use my ego. There is a higher entity which is anyway working through me to make me do things. I will just accept whatever comes in front of me because everything is anyway planned or everything is as per my blueprint or whatever. It's anyway coming. So why should I worry? That why should I worry will actually reduce the ego. Reduce the ego means ego is there, but ego is not, you are not listening to the ego. But ego, by not listening to the ego constantly over time, the role of the ego in protection and all that reduces. Then you are not trying to, what do you say? You're not even trying to keep the body from dying or safe or something. It doesn't mean that you're going to, at some point, you will still say, I will not go touch the fire because I know it's going to burn me. There is still ego. But Guru Gobind Singh and all of those people, they were made to walk on fire, walk on the coal and all of those things. At that time, all that he said was, Tera kiya meetha lage or something. He did not have an iota of fear also, because he was completely in surrender. Without single thought, he just walked. There was no hesitation also. So how much his ego's identity had dropped. He was not identifying with his ego. He was identifying with a higher source.
But then 5D humans don't need ego at all. They
need, no, because no, they also need, because they had something, they had to protect their physical body. Otherwise, if a soul comes just like that, there is no, it will not act like I want to protect this physical body. It needs the body to experience earth, no? To that much they were protecting the physical body. They were running away from tigers and lions, definitely. Not out of fear, but out of joy. Out of an experience.
So that level of ego, even we need in 3D.
We need. But at some point, if you have to go higher, you will probably have to drop something or the other and keep going. How much, what, eventually we will understand in the process of experience.
Example of Guru Gobind Singh was above 5D then. Where even this,
he doesn't care about getting his body killed because he knows he's not dead anyway. He knows. So, but we are we trying to still protect this body, or are we trying to get that experience irrespective of the body? There, the level of the ego will be decided. If you're trying to protect this body, its body's comforts, its body's trauma, pains and pleasures and all that, then you are definitely, your ego is very high.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Any other questions? Actually, I'm not getting questions from anybody else also. Not sure whether people are able to see, not see. It's okay. Whoever is able to see, whoever needed this are anyway getting it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, friends. Do share.
I'd like to say one thing, ma'am. Just one thing. Thanks to this divine design, now that Dipti ma'am has also started saying it, so it's coming as a sort of revision.
Correct. Your video is pausing, Nidhi. Maybe you need to stop your video.
Yesterday, when I heard Dipti's session, it was like a revision. And then I was thinking, if we did not have this background, it would have been quite difficult to understand what she was trying to explain.
Nidhi, we couldn't hear you. Can you repeat?
No, ma'am, what I am saying is that you started divine design, and now when Dipti ma'am is explaining, like when she is doing it, it's as if the revision ho ja raha hai. So the concepts you explained were very clear, and now when she is explaining, so it's not that I have to open the book or I have to listen to the videos again. It's as if कि हाँ वो पता है और एक बार और पता चल गया तो एकदम clear हो गया. I'm ready for the exam. As if.
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Do share these videos with others also who is interested in these books. But I think in that book, she has not told about she's talking about divine design. She's saying it's untold story of Earth.
Untold story of yeah. Even I could not make out which. I think both of them are same. Earth का design तो same ही होगा. No matter, I mean, whoever is
No,
writing.
she's
the
talking
story.
about divine design only, because she, in some Shambhala stuff, when I told I'm
saw that
reading
video.
divine design. At that time, I was
I-
reading divine design, and I had some realizations and all that. Then she said, very good book. Even I am planning to do that in Tattvamasi. She
I
said.
was there in that call. Yes, I
You were
saw
there in
you.
that call?
Yes.
Yeah, at that time, I think she told about it. But now I don't think she's talking about divine design as a book. She's talking about the concepts in
Concept.
general.
Because
Even
whatever
before
she
that,
was
she
saying
told in
here-
Tattvamasi, she has told. That is where I first heard about alchemization, assimilation, and all that. And when I read the book, that is when, oh yeah, I've heard this somewhere. At that time, it was very nice. The concept actually sat in my head very well, even when
it was
she
going ऊपर से, so I could not connect only. Now I'm able to connect. It was going as if बहुत से बहुत ऊपर है. So interesting.
No,
ही था,
मुझे
ma'am.
at that time I understood very well what she was saying.
Like you said, na
She
कि
had
एक
explained.
book, but the book calls you. So now this book
Book
has
called
actually
me.
yes. Earlier that time I was not in that state. So, but now the book is actually calling me. Even Ramtha, way back ago, I had started reading that book. My aunt used to say, very good book, very good book. I used to read that and I was like, what is this? I can't even understand anything. I just closed it and I was like, okay, jab time aega dekha jayega. And now when the workshop was there, I could understand and comprehend so much to it and I could relate to it so much. So when Tattvamasi season 1 was happening, I hardly night में it is not possible also. And so I was just, ठीक है, देखा जाएगा. बाद में जब if I'm ever able to hear to it, if I'm like plan to hear it, it will come to me.
Yeah.
But and now it is again coming. So
Yeah. In
yes.
fact, last time she was the only one anchoring it. This time now there is a
question answer format.
Question answer
Question.
format. So maybe thoda time idhar udhar chala jayega also, with people with she asking questions and all that. Yeah. Anyway, it's okay. But she
So
was looking very
basically, it's
beautiful
a
also yesterday.
repetition of season 1. Only the
No,
format has changed.
it's a
Content is-
extension. Yeah, it's an
Extension,
extension.
not repetition, extension. Yeah, ma'am said it correctly. Because she will not give repetition. Dipti ma'am will not repeat what he has already said until and unless it is absolutely
See,
necessary.
she is channeling her higher self. She's in her present moment all the time. So whatever comes through her mouth, somebody else is actually telling her to tell.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So let's close the call. If there are no other questions and no other discussions, chalo. You had a question or you just dropped off? What is it?
Oh, the bell rang. I had to go down to open the door. But one thing that was new for me in yesterday's session from Deepti was, it's fine, I call her Deepti, right?
Yeah, sure.
That she said, even in this lifetime, when we are thinking, when we are having lower frequency emotions, we connect to lower frequency people. When we have higher frequency emotions, we connect to higher frequency people, other people with higher frequency. Now, when we were discussing divine design, our perspective is much wider. I'm usually thinking 3D and 5D, comparing 3D and 5D. But within 3D also there's a spectrum.
Yeah,
So-
that is also a spec. See, if your energy field has to remain in, you should always remember this tapping and anchoring. You're always tapping, tapping, tapping and going higher. And as you tap, tap, tap and keep going higher and anchor, before you anchor, you're still tapping and going higher. Tapping means slowly stepping, stepping, stepping and going higher. So the more you practice those higher emotions, your energy field is also changing to filter those emotions. This is getting upgraded, right?
So I'm
Your energy
tapping
field is getting
also
upgraded.
within 3D.
If you respond with a lower frequency, then you will continue to go low. You will continue to drop to those lower frequencies, and then you will meet people of similar nature because you're attracting similar nature behaviors from others. Because what you ask only is coming. No, if you're asking lower frequency, you will get lower frequency. It means you're connecting to that level.
And am I tapping also within 3D?
Going higher, step by step is
It's
also
not
tapping.
that there is tapping happening only when I'm moving to 4D. It is also happening within the same dimension.
Tapping is happening, which is why you are going step by step, and increasing the percentage in the next dimension. If you increase your percentage in the next dimension, slowly, let's say there's a third step, fourth step. Now, as you start reaching out to fourth step, your reach within the third step will slowly reduce. This will go higher. So here your this percentage in 3D is reducing. The percentage in 4D is increasing. At some point, you need 80% to anchor. Anchor means you are now locked in that dimension. But as long as you're tapping, even if you have increased your stuff in 4D, but you have reduced your stuff in 3D also, you have a potential of dropping down because you're not anchored.
Okay. And that lock is also valid only till maybe I can come down also when I've accumulated 80% of the lower dimension frequency.
Lock means your nature only has changed. Your way of thinking only has changed. You can't even now accept that kind of thinking anymore. You've forgotten to think like that.
But weren't those 5D humans locked?
They learned. See, they did not realize that they were going down. They did not think it was bad. Why should they think it was bad? To a baby, what is bad and what is good?
So they didn't have the lower dimension experiences
Perspective
to...
itself.
Okay.
Now we have the lower dimension experience. Now Shastras are telling us what is right, what is wrong, what kind of thing. And they're telling us what is your perspective. Go higher. That there is a heaven kind of thing. It is very nice. They're telling us. See, how do we know whether it is good to go higher? We are believing somebody and we are doing all this. No. It is happening through belief and trust based on something. And where is that belief and trust coming from? From some inner guidance, some nature. See, it's like overnight you're not believing and trusting. At some point you believe little bit. That belief has actually increased over many lifetimes to go in this direction. This is what is called tapping. The more you go towards higher frequencies, the nature of higher frequencies calls you, makes you do like that. But you can fall down if you are not 80% in that state, even 70%. But in Earth's case, they had made a rule that after 50%, she will be locked. No, but she's not anchored, but she is now, nobody can pull her back. They removed they disconnected the dependency after 50%. But for us, there is dependency until we go to 80%. We have the dependency that lower energies, if we get carried away by lower energies, we will drop. There are people, I think in one of the meditation sessions, I think in Kannada, PMC Kannada, somebody at a very superior level in the channel, he told that his friend had some desire to basically meditate and then feel the Om chanting inside his cells. Okay, at some point he got there also. He got there and he reached and of course he reached those higher frequencies. He basically connected and he went to enlightened state also. Okay, but he stopped doing after that because that was his desire. He finished doing and then after that he stopped doing. Then he said later on he dropped down to that level and then he was experiencing the same problems that he used to experience in the past.
Okay, so it's not just about reaching there, we also have to maintain that.
Maintain it. Which is all, see, if you're not choosing to work in that level, if you're not choosing to work at that level, but you want to choose to do something else, even if your guidance is telling you don't do, then what will you do? You'll drop. Everybody has free will at that time, right? So nobody can interfere with what you decide. That is why they keep saying Shiva also meditates, Vishnu also meditates, so and so meditates, everybody in the higher dimensions also meditate. They keep telling that all the time. There is nothing like permanency. Yeah, that's what I was saying. You can't take anything for granted. You have to keep going higher, 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 higher. You have to keep growing. You have to keep investing in yourself all the time. The source,
There's one.
that source connection to the source should always be there, is what they say.
There's another thing that I learned yesterday in that session. The Hindi translation of few of the words like Mool Chetna.
Yeah, it's all Hindi, correct. Mool Chetna is that higher self. No, Mool Chetna is the source.
Source.
Source, yeah.
But for few words, she uses English itself. Higher self, I don't know.
I think unified field and all was English. Dimension was English. Frequency and all that was English.
Higher self also.
Higher self, did she use? Okay. Usually she calls that Purnatma.
Purnatma. Oh, okay. Then
Right,
tapping
Nidhi, I
and
think
all
she
is
calls it Purnatma, right? That's what Hindi translation is all about, no?
Yes, ma'am, Purnatma, and then she used quantum field also.
She uses
Quantum
she used
field.
quantum field also, correct. I mean, I was actually appreciating the kind of summary she was giving at that level. I mean, now while reading this book, you feel like telling every single detail to people. At least I felt that when I started Divine Design, I felt that no, I have to explain this logical point. I have to explain this logical point. Otherwise, they will not understand, because I felt in my head I needed that logical point to complete it. But at her level, I was actually listening and I was thinking, oh my God, she's explaining at that level, at that high level. She's covering this, she's covering this, she's covering this. Maybe for people it might be slightly difficult to understand and maybe even ask questions, because they don't have too many details to ask questions. And Sangeeta may not ask questions, or if she asks questions, maybe it will not end only there. But because you know all this, you're able to understand that. But if you don't know all this, it's just a new separate concept. But you don't know what all questions you can ask, because it's very wide. The topic itself is huge. It's like it's all spread out. What questions you have to ask in that also, actually, I thought I would not know. But it's easier to listen. It's easier to take in as a new concept. But I was thinking, wow, she was able to explain at that broad level. I was actually observing that. But I know for a fact that she channels her higher self, and she is able to channel her higher self, whoever behind it. So she's in that present moment, which is what she had told, that she's in that present moment, and whatever comes through her mouth is coming from somewhere else. So because she's in that higher dimensions already.
Is she kind of a successor of Patriji?
No. Nobody is a successor of Patriji. It's a equal organization. Everybody is, he was never calling himself as a guru or a follow me kind of thing. He taught certain principles for helping each of them get to their own higher self-realized state, so that they can live a better life. So he taught certain principles, and people adopted those principles, and they got experience, and they started teaching. So there are so many different pockets of people who lead things. And she's also a person who lead things. She's a senior person. So that is why she has a lot of fan following. There are lots of such people. Okay, chalo, we'll close the call here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, and great discussion. Please stay tuned, stay in touch. Thank you for all the people who are in